There is something known as black and white thinking, and when someone thinks this way, they usually reduce an entire spectrum of possibilities on a subject down to the two most extreme options. And it is either that you're a good person or a bad person, it is either my way or the highway. I don't know why black always have to mean bad, that's kind of racist. Or something that is all too common, you are either with us or against us. Psychologists consider this black and white thinking to be a cognitive distortion, which is kinda like a thinking mistake, because it keeps you from seeing life the way it really is, which is complex, uncertain, not fair, pretty rough, pretty tough, and constantly changing, as this way of thinking can cause you to see things as only good or bad, with no in between. And this thinking bias can happen on a daily basis. It could be at work, for example. If they are ignored by the coworker once, a black and white thinker is more likely to put them immediately in the bad area and is now an enemy, regardless of the fact that they might have not even hurt you. It could also happen in politics. Mine is right and yours is wrong. No offense, but actually a little bit. Or a really common place is in religion. You either choose to believe that there is no God, or you do, without the possibility of there being an agnostic side, which is, I don't know whether God is real or not, but no, we don't want to hear it, either with or against us. This way of thinking just assumes that there are only two possible categories, and that everything and everyone must belong to either one of the two. Trying to create a middle ground is ignored entirely. And I think you can already see the problem with this way of thinking, because sometimes we all have a tendency to think this way. For example, a small mistake while presenting on a work project might cause you to feel as though the entire presentation went poorly, even though that wasn't the case. Or when you like someone, you're more likely to only see the good parts about them and ignore the flaws. But if you can put situations and people in only two options, you might not be able to see the good thing in a bad scenario, or see the bad things in a good person. But fortunately, there is another way of thinking, which counters this black and white mindset, which is called being more open-minded, of course. Which basically means, yeah, if you see someone not greet you, you might be more considerate of judgment. She literally ignored me becomes she might have not heard me or just had a bad day. And the thing is, probably not. But the point is that there are more options than simply yes and no, good and bad, black and white. Now, if the question were to come up, which way of thinking is better? I don't know. But in conclusion, some characteristics of open-minded people are that they tend to be more curious to hear what other people's view on something is. They're more able to have their ideas challenged, have more empathy for other people, and believe that others also deserve the right to share their beliefs and thoughts, to a certain extent that is. And I don't know about you, but I would rather be friends with this person than this person. No disrespect and nothing personal. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care. In philosophy, determinism is the idea that every single thing that happens would be 100% decided by previously existing causes. Or in other words, it is the belief that outcomes of a certain event have already been decided, but still needs to happen. Imagine if you were to go pooling with a friend, and as you hit the cue ball, which then strikes another, the movement of the balls would already have been determined by the laws of physics the moment you had hit the cue ball. Because after hitting it, neither you nor the balls have any say in which way things will turn out. Except if you cheat, but I mean, come on. Once the cause happened, the effect already would have been decided. Is this clear, right? Okay. Now, if we were to generalize this, then the concept of determinism can actually make more sense. If the world would kind of run the same as this pool table, well, then once the initial conditions of the universe have been set up, then every event that has followed and will be followed has been caused by cause and effect. Still following? Nice. The concept of determinism became pretty famous as many religions, philosophers, and Stoics had implemented these ideas of determinism. And to have such a mindset basically means that one is to believe that certain actions or events are outside of one's own control. In other words, in their way of thinking, technically, this event already happened the moment that this happened. But there are different kinds of deterministic views. A lot of people have taken a liking to this philosophy and have applied it in different aspects. Just to name a few examples, people who associate more with environmental determinism believe that the physical environment in a place, rather than social conditions, determines culture. People who mess more with biological determinism believe more in the idea that your genetics have already decided how your life will somewhat turn out. And there is also a form of it that is called theological determinism, which is the belief that there is a God who determines all that humans will do, either by knowing their actions in advance or by decreeing their actions in advance. Now, you can decide for yourself whether any of this makes sense or not, because I will be moving on. There is also another view on determinism called indeterminism, which depends on the idea that not all events have a cause, and any uncaused event would just seem to happen. And for some time now, people have debated about what is the right approach to life, to be deterministic or to be indeterministic. Einstein, who was, well, do I have to explain who he was? He once argued that God does not play dice with the universe, and that the fundamental laws of nature cannot be just probabilistic. In his way of thinking, this has to tell us what will happen next, not what will probably happen or what might happen. And so, if he's right, then every physical event is completely caused by prior events. But a lot of physicists disagreed with Einstein. Like Heisenberg and Bohr, they believed that, basically, if they would be correct, then it means that not every event is predetermined by the past and the laws of nature. And this was not written in stone and wasn't bound to happen, but it just happened. And so, in conclusion, in reality, the debate between determinists like Einstein and indeterminists like Heisenberg and Bohr have never really been settled, because we don't really have any good evidence for either view. And with we, I mean the experts, because I'm just a regular guy who's interested in all this. Maybe in the future, things will be more clear. But for now, I'll say thank you for watching. Take care. There is something known as the class clown syndrome, which is often common in schools, and more often within boys compared to girls. That's not sexist, that just is what it is. It originally refers to someone who frequently engages in humorous or disruptive behavior to gain attention, entertain peers, or avoid academic responsibilities. It's often seen as harmless and lighthearted, but it can have some negative consequences. You know, being a class clown and all. Think about academic performances, social relationships, emotional well-being, etc. And being a class clown is not really like a clinical diagnosis, but rather a term describing patterns of behavior observed in some people, often students. These people will use humor, pranks, or disruptions as coping mechanisms or as means of gaining social acceptance. It can range from sometimes using occasional jokes now and then to persistent disruptions that, well, you're annoying and disrupting everyone trying to actually succeed in life. You can be a fun person and just, be fun to be around, but a so-called class clown will try and humor everyone all the time to get attention and social acceptance. And acting like this could be for multiple reasons. It could be because of attention-seeking behavior, the desire for attention, something we all want, and in a space where people have to kinda compete with each other to get this, humor can be a powerful tool. For people, being funny is an effective way to stand out and be noticed. Another reason could be that humor can also serve as a social resource, helping people form bonds and establish social hierarchies, and being the class clown can often provide a sense of belonging and acceptance. In other words, if you make people laugh, you'll be more likely to be asked to join on certain events. And for some people, humorous behavior can also serve as a defense mechanism to cope with anxiety, low self-esteem, or academic difficulties. By being a class clown, they can divert attention away from their insecurities or shortcomings. Now, there was a study being done about class clown behavior, a study where, I'll just spare you the details. Basically, they suggested that we were supposed to categorize class clown behavior into 4 different dimensions instead of just one. And the first dimension will be called the class clown role, in where one would consist of being labeled being that guy by himself and others. Then you have the comic talent. It describes just liking to entertain others with funny things and spreading a good mood. Until now, pretty harmless. But then you have the disruptive rule breaker, poking fun at teachers, not taking school seriously, and directly challenging the authority. Doesn't look so good. And lastly, you have the subversive joker. You're also just being annoying, but it is often done behind the teacher their back instead of a direct confrontation. In any case, the strategy of the class clown may look good at first, but there could be rather negative consequences towards choosing this strategy. As an example, in class, the most visible impact is often on the students' academic performance. You're probably not doing good in school. You try to be funny all the time, but over time, this can result in lower grades, a lack of foundational knowledge, and a negative attitude towards education overall. And teachers, of course, can also have problems with this behavior, who may seem it as kinda disrespectful or challenging the authority. It can hinder the teacher's ability to, teach well. Plus, a teacher's job is already kind of undervalued in my opinion, and someone always disrupting class can be kind of an additional annoyance. And lastly, relying too much and only on humor can prevent the development of deeper, more meaningful relationships. You know, the people that always try to be funny with every sentence that they say, making it their entire personality to be the fun person? It's kind of like that. But fortunately, me and my team of intelligent individuals have come up with potential solutions for this behavior, which means that if someone wanted to overcome this behavior, they could implement some of the next few things. You as a class clown could train your social skills to develop healthier ways to interact with people, you know, developing other emotions besides your fun social side, conflict resolution skills, communicating effectively, and in general, building your self-esteem without relying on humor too much. Or if the behavior is a little deeper linked, counseling can be a valuable resource. School counselors or psychologists can work with students to address underlying concerns, develop coping strategies, and build resilience. And in conclusion, that's all the solutions we could think of. I once had a classmate that would be literally only on jokes on site, and at first it was fun, but when you wanted to actually concentrate and focus on the class, not so much. And that's about it. Thank you for watching. Take care. Some folks love meeting new people and like the feeling of gaining new experiences, looking for more opportunities to socialize. Except if you're like her, being more on the quiet and the more self-conscious side, preferring it when warming up slowly to new people or situations. And you know how being shy was always seen as somewhat cute and adorable? Well, to this girl, absolute chaos and confusion might be in their mind right now, potentially gaining mental damage permanently afterwards. Or maybe not, but shyness is described as a feeling of fear or discomfort caused by other people, especially in new situations or when meeting with people you do not know. And this fear can cause someone to, in the end, not do or say whatever they wanted to do or say. And when you're more shy on average, you're more likely to feel uncomfortable, self-conscious, nervous, or insecure. It could be that a random stranger is approaching you, asking you for directions. You know, something simple and normal. But for some reason, you begin to blush, start stumbling all over your words. Your body shakens up, you're out of breath easier, and you might even pass out. You're more likely to feel this way when you're not sure how to act and overthink about how others will react to your words. Plus, when all the attention is on you. And for reasons that are unknown to mankind, there are 4 different types of shyness. Starting with being more on the shy, secure side. When having this, you're pretty skilled for having social anxiety, and you wouldn't mind not joining in most social settings nor events. Meeting new people, I'm good. And small talk with people I don't know, okay, but only to a limited degree, please. Next is being more shy, withdrawn. Now, here you are more anxious in social situations than the previous type, and you tend to focus more on the potential of being rejected by those around you. So when being shy dependent, you know what, let's speedrun this. You have a harder time speaking up for yourself, you lack assertiveness, and you want to socialize to improve your social skills, but you don't put yourself first. And lastly, there is the shy confliction, in where you yearn for social interactions, but you feel kind of anxious about them, often having internal monologues like, should I go? Probably not. But I want to go though, but nah, what if they end up hating me? Etc., etc., and probably end up not going. And according to Dr. Jonathan, a psychology professor at Wellesley College, this type usually has the most problems and has the hardest time overcoming their shyness. So yeah. And there is also a thing in where someone gets extreme forms of shyness. Most people who are like this can learn to manage their shyness so that it doesn't really interfere with what they want to do. Although, for a few individuals, shy feelings can be extremely extreme. And this could get so far that the main character monologue in their head would probably go something like this.
Day 13 of staying inside. I have not seen a single human being in real life for a while now. I can feel my social skills becoming rustier and breaking down into mere dark matter. How could this happen? Did I not see this coming? Or did I not want to see it coming? Pause.
In conclusion, is being shy a bad thing? Who knows? Some cultures, such as many of those in the United States, tend to regard it as whatever. Others, such as some Asian cultures, tend to regard shyness as more positive. And with that, I will thank you for watching. Take care. So, you want to become funny, but you don't really know how to go about doing that. Well, first you have to know what you really want. Becoming a comedian, for example, often requires spending 4 years of your life getting into a fine arts and film degree, beginning to write and rehearsing yourself, performing at an open mic and forgetting the 4 years you spent on that degree, wondering the time, the money and effort was worth it or not. Evaluate your performance, honestly, stay positive, and repeat step 2 till 5 until you have gained the following, found an agent, and a severe depression and or addiction towards a coping substance. But let's say you want to be found funny and humorous by those around you. Well, first you have to know what kind of humor you want to use, because using the same type of jokes will get old, so instead, learning different types of comedy could be more beneficial. For example, there is anecdotal comedy, that involves someone using stories from everyday life to invoke humor. Let's say you're with someone and they bring up the sentence, dancing is actually kinda cool. You might follow up with a story about how you went on vacation and your drunk uncle was dancing half naked all over the place while looking cool. There is character comedy, where someone creates humorous characters or personas to make everyone laugh. And then there is stream of consciousness, which basically means that you tell about what you were thinking throughout the day, but in an entertaining way. But what I wouldn't recommend though, especially for beginners, are slapstick comedy, where you would use exaggerated facial expressions and stunts, and dark comedy, because if nobody laughs, you are kind of screwed. But if you're gonna go for this tactic anyway, I would advise you to try and not offend anyone, and the best way to do that is to try and offend everyone. Now, I found some other minor tips online on how to improve humor, which could be pretty handy. Let's see here. Take a comedy class. Well, yeah, actually, because when your joke fails and nobody laughs, telling them, what? I paid thousands of dollars for comedy classes to get this joke, causes your chances of laughter to increase. Staying positive, also a good one. When nobody looks at you and finds you even a little bit funny, the most important thing to do is to stay positive and not let the pressure of shame get to you. It happens to everyone, move on, and sometimes the awkward silence could be funny in and of itself. Don't overdo it. Even the most professional funny people do not make jokes all the time, every time. Trying to make everyone laugh all the time will at some point be counterintuitive. Try to avoid the awkward laughters. This is where you try to be funny and people laugh, but it is the awkward kind of laugh. And in their mind, they will tell you, this is actually not funny at all, but I have to act like this or it will become much more awkward. So please watch out for this. And the last one, because I always save the best for last, just be funny. Wow, and I'm not making this up. And in conclusion, now that you have lost all hope in becoming funny, I just want you to know that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, and you too, you're special. and you will probably be amazing at something else. And to close out this video, I will actually not make a joke, but just say, thank you for watching. Take care.